You know, some stories don't really have a beginning. They just have a crater, a void right where the truth is supposed to be. And this isn't just a story about a crime, it's more like an excavation. We are about to dig into the very first official files on Jeffrey Epstein, a collection of documents that promised us clarity, but instead delivered a masterclass in just how much can be hidden in plain sight.
So this is page 1. Before you get a single name, before a single date, this is what the FBI shows us. A deleted page information sheet. It's this sterile, bureaucratic form, basically a ledger of secrets. But look closely at the numbers. Total deleted pages, 258. From page 3 all the way to page 317, the official record of this investigation is just a ghost. I mean, imagine getting a book where the first 258 pages have been meticulously ripped out. All you're left with is a table of contents for things you're not allowed to see. It really makes you wonder, right? What kind of investigation begins by erasing itself?
And that right there is the central question, not just for us here, but for the entire pace that followed for years. We've got the container, the file numbers, the official government letterhead, but the substance, the very core of the investigation, it's been surgically removed. So what we're going to do is try to peer around the edges of those redactions. We're going to use other sources from that exact moment in time to piece together what the official story was so determined to hide.
To really get what was happening, you first have to come face to face with this fortress of black ink. See, these government documents aren't just incomplete. They speak a language of deliberate silence. Every single black bar you're about to see isn't some accident. It's a choice. It's a conscious decision that you, the public, should not get to know what lies underneath.
Okay, check this out, because the contrast here is just chilling. On the left, you've got a document from the Palm Beach police. It's a probable cause affidavit. Now, this is supposed to be the legal bedrock of a case. It's the sworn statement that lays out the cold, hard facts to justify an arrest. But here, it's a phantom, a document just swallowed whole by redactions, completely meaningless. Now look to the right. This is the FBI's internal memo, dated July 24, 2006, opening their own case, and it is brutally concise. Under the title, 2 words are left unredacted, just hanging in the air: child prostitution. So, the official filing for the courts is a total secret. But inside the Bureau, they knew exactly what they were looking at.
So yeah, the official paper trail, it leads us straight into a wall. A room with blacked out windows. So to find out what was really going on in Palm Beach back in 2005 and 2006, we have to step outside the government archives. We have to leave that silence behind and walk out into the glare of the Florida sun, where a whole different paper trail was being printed, folded, and delivered to doorsteps every single morning.
And that's the thing. While federal agents were typing up memos and lawyers were sharpening their redaction pens in these nice air-conditioned offices, local reporters were out on the street. They were pounding the pavement, talking to nervous sources in hushed tones, and they were piecing together a story that the authorities seemed hell-bent on burying. They were filling in the blanks, one headline at a time.
And this just lays it all out, the huge divide. On the left, you have official silence. On the right, a flood of details. Just 2 days after that internal FBI memo, the Palm Beach Post published this. And suddenly the story has action, it has movement. You can almost see it. Police cars cruising past these manicured lawns, detectives at the private airport watching the jets come and go, officers sifting through garbage bags in the dark. Journalism was painting the picture that the official record refused to show us.
So what exactly was behind those headlines? Well, the newspaper reports were alleging a systematic operation. We're talking dozens of underage girls, recruited from local communities. They described payments, a couple $100s in cash, handed out after each visit to Epstein's waterfront mansion. They printed the account of a 14-year-old girl who told police she was led to a room with a massage table. And here's the kicker. They reported that those trash searches weren't for nothing. Police actually found papers with names and phone numbers. These are the very facts that you have to assume fill the empty spaces in that blacked-out affidavit.
And then, cutting through all the legal jargon and police procedure, a human voice emerges from the reporting. Haley Robson, who is identified in the press, reportedly told police she acted as a recruiter for Epstein, and her alleged quote is just so chilling, not just for what it admits, but for its self-awareness. "I'm like a Heidi Fleiss." Now, for anyone who remembers the 90s, that name meant one thing: a highly organized, high-society prostitution ring. This tells you right away this wasn't random, it was a business. But these newspaper reports, they do more than just give us allegations. They give us a window into the actual police work. Through them, we can actually see the methodical, day-by-day process of investigators on the ground trying to build a case against a really powerful man who at every single turn seemed to be one step ahead of them.
And according to these sources, the investigation was pretty much textbook. You had police sitting across from former employees, like a houseman named Alfredo Rodriguez, just trying to get a picture of what life was like inside that mansion. They staked out the home, and they even reportedly planted a video camera to get a hard record of the faces and the license plates of everyone coming and going. Most importantly, they interviewed multiple girls, painstakingly documenting their stories. And then they took the biggest step of all. They got a search warrant, and they went inside.
And all of this work, all these interviews, all this surveillance, it was all building toward one single critical document, that probable cause affidavit we saw. The whole point was to gather enough sworn evidence to convince a judge beyond any doubt that a crime had been committed and that Jeffrey Epstein was the one responsible. All of these steps were meant to fill that document with undeniable facts, facts that, as we've seen, remain officially hidden from us to this day.
And during that search of the mansion, journalists reported a really disturbing discovery. Inside the very rooms where these horrible acts allegedly took place, police found eyes in the walls, hidden cameras. And that detail, it adds this whole other, more sinister layer to the story, doesn't it? It suggests a calculated effort not just to commit these acts, but to record them, to control the evidence, to capture everything that happened inside that house.
But while the Palm Beach police were so carefully building their case, piece by piece, another force was pushing back, hard. This wasn't just any suspect. He was a man of incredible wealth and influence, and he was using that power like a weapon, building a fortress around himself, not of brick and mortar, but of legal and social power. This headline from the Palm Beach Post it captures the whole dynamic perfectly. Powerful legal team stymies detectives. That word stymies is so key. It doesn't just mean to argue against someone. It means to actively prevent, to hinder, to strategically choke off the progress of an investigation. This wasn't a fair fight. It was a siege.
So what did that power actually look like? Well, the news reports from that time painted a pretty staggering picture. His circle of friends included a former U.S. president and a British prince. He assembled a legal dream team with some of the most famous lawyers in America, guys like Alan Dershowitz and Roy Black. This wasn't just a legal defense. It was a shock and awe campaign. He was a major political donor, and his personal fortune was estimated to be in the billions. This was the wall that those detectives in Palm Beach were trying to break through.
And that legal team, they immediately went on the offensive. The battle wasn't just going to be in the courtroom, it was for public perception. This quote from a statement reported in the press, it really shows their strategy. They pushed a story that Epstein had passed a polygraph test, claiming he had no idea how old the girls were. It was a classic tactic, create this counter-narrative of innocence and confusion, just muddy the waters before a single charge was even formally filed.
And this quote, also from a news report, it cuts right to the absolute heart of the matter. This is where the story becomes about more than just one man, and becomes a mirror held up to our entire justice system. Does the system work the same for everyone, or are there two sets of rules, one for the average person and another, more flexible set, for the wealthy and connected? Right from its earliest days, the Epstein case was a brutal test of that very question.
So you have this crescendo building. You've got an intense local police investigation. You have explosive media reports coming out every single day. The FBI has opened a federal case. And you have this massive legal and PR counterattack. All the pieces are on the board, building towards some kind of confrontation, some kind of resolution. And then something strange happens. Amidst all the noise and all the fury, there's just a sudden, deafening silence. The momentum just stops.
And then, buried deep in the file, we find this. A single page, an internal FBI memorandum. Now look at the date, September 14, 2006. Remember, the Bureau had opened its child prostitution case less than 2 months earlier. The local investigation was already over a year old. The case was active, it was public, it was volatile, and this is the update that the agent in charge files. The synopsis is just 2 words, 2 stunningly simple words that contradict every single headline, every interview, every piece of surveillance we've just seen. In the context of this massive investigation, these 2 words land like a death sentence. Delayed. Investigation. Not ongoing. Not pending indictment. Delayed. A full, inexplicable stop right in the middle of the story.
And here it is, the official reason why. Investigation in this matter has been delayed due to Ryder's assignment to a kidnapping investigation. The entire federal case into a politically connected billionaire for systematic child abuse was put on ice because of a staffing issue. The official record doesn't offer us some grand conspiracy, no shadowy phone call from on high. It offers something that's almost more chilling in how boring it is, a bureaucratic excuse.
Which leaves us right back where we started, with a question, just hanging in the silence. We began with an absence, 258 pages deliberately removed from a file. We saw the blacked-out affidavits. We read the headlines that filled in the horrific details. And in the end, we see the federal case file stamped delayed. Why? After everything that the police uncovered and the reporters revealed, why did the powerful machinery of the Federal Bureau of Investigation just grind to a halt? The documents don't give us the answer. They only leave us with the question.